Welcome back to Admit It with Alexis White. Today is a very special day. A very, very special day because I have one of my best friends, Donna Bowling, here. I never thought I would have a podcast where I had like a best friend on, but she's not just a best friend. She's also a brilliant podcaster. We're going to get to know her. We're going to get to know her whole career trajectory. Introduce yourself, Donna.
Oh my gosh. Well, Alexis, my name is Donna Bowling.
Oh my God, amazing. Hi, how are you? Nice to meet you.
I feel like we're on a blind date,
Yeah.
but people are watching. I am Donna Bowling. I am Alexis's best friend. I am so thrilled. I've never been more excited to be introduced as that. Well, I am so proud to be one of your best friends because every time, and I was just saying this, every time I post a picture with you, I literally get 500 DMs. Is that the college expert? Oh my God. You're friends with the college expert. And I'm like, I'm here too. Do you guys see me? I'm here too. I can't, we're going to get into your rise to fame, to internet stardom, doing what you've done. It's insane. Yeah, I mean, I have a show called Daily Dose of Donna.
And if you don't subscribe to the show, you need to. And if you don't follow Donna, what your handle is?
This, well, on Instagram, it's this, and TikTok, it's This Is Donna Bowling. And my name is spelled D-A-N-A, which is horrible.
We're going to call her Dana from now on.
No, you're going to call me Donna, but we're going to be very mad at my mom. And parents out there, biggest mistake is to name your kid something that is not phonetically spelled the way it's pronounced. I don't understand why my parents, well, I know why my parents did it. Because they weren't born in America and they just thought that Americans would understand, unfortunately.
They don't understand.
They don't understand. It was the biggest mistake, but it is an icebreaker.
Well, I like to call you Donna, Dana, Dana, Donna.
Everyone does.
So that's how we roll. Okay, so Donna's story, apart from the fact that she's amazing and has an incredible podcast, the reason why you're here is because I want to talk about your trajectory starting from college. Actually, we're going to do your life story starting from high school.
Yes.
Because Donna's path has not been linear. And I really like to focus on non-linear paths because my path hasn't been linear. And I think there's a lot of emphasis right now, especially I'm getting a lot of very distressed calls from parents saying like, my kid is in 10th grade and he's freaking out that he doesn't have a passion yet. He doesn't know what he was going to I'm like, oh my God, 10th grade. That's just, we really have to reframe this conversation, and kids need to be kids again. Making America's kids again. Maca. But this idea that what you major in makes you who you are, or leads, or where you go to school is who you're going to be. And there's actually a book called Where You Go Isn't Who You Will Be. It's a very good book.
Oh.
And so I want to explore that. I want to talk about your college life.
Yeah.
And your many careers.
Yeah.
Because at a very young age, you've had many careers and they're all fascinating, but you've always kind of followed your heart.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about where you're from, where you went to school, the things.
Sure. I think it's actually really fascinating now being a mom as well, because some kids are born and they just know directly. They're so I guess what's the word, like ambitious from the,
right, and they're myopic. Like they have like the thing that they're looking at, and and
it never veers. Like they know from the beginning, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a singer, I want to be an athlete. Like that's it. And it's not because they're trying to fit into any, parent dream. It's because that's what they are passionate about. And some kids, I have basically one of each kind of. They're all over the place. Maybe they're super passionate, but it changes every year or every 6 months, or they're kind of like not really passionate about anything.
Will you tell us how old your kids are, by the way?
Yes, I have one that just turned 13 and then one that's 10, two boys. And they kind of are all over the place. They both have a lot of passions, but I don't have one that is like, actually, either of them that really, really knows for sure 100% what they want to do.
Right.
And I don't really push it, but I grew up in a way that I didn't really know what I wanted to do other than the fact that I loved entertainment, TV, Hollywood. Like I was obsessed. And I grew up here in LA. I don't know if you were this way growing up here in LA. Like, were you fascinated?
It was either I was going to become an actor or I was going to become an agent. Or
so you were too.
That was going to be my world.
You were too.
1,000%. Yes.
I was obsessed to the point where I guess I thought it was normal just because I grew up here, but When I would go to the Universal Studios backlot tour,
Mhm.
I was like out of body, couldn't handle it, wanted to jump out of the tram and
live
be
in the,
on the
in the
set.
set. Yeah.
Whereas my sister, who was just like me in terms of we grew up in the same house,
Right.
didn't care, like she couldn't care less, and still to this day doesn't care. We would drive on Melrose. We lived off of Melrose, which is like a big street here in LA. And we would see them filming Beverly Hills 90210. Like I saw Kelly Taylor's red convertible.
Oh my God, the BMW.
Yes. And I screamed at the top of my lungs, like, Mom, get me out of the car. I was 11 years old. And she was like, what? And I was like, I need to see it. I need to be there. I need to. And my mom would just drop me off. I mean, things were different in the 90s. She would just drop me off on Melrose for 3 hours. Yeah. At 11 years old. And I would just watch it for
no
hours.
phone,
Yes. And that was an obsession of mine. When I was in 7th grade, all I wanted to do for my birthday was get a ticket to the live taping of Full House. Like those were the obsessions. So I knew I wanted to be in Hollywood in some way. I didn't really want to be an actor though. Like I just wanted to be on the set.
Mhm.
So when I graduated eventually, and we'll go into my college, I just wanted to work in the industry. And I was lucky that my mom met a casting director on a flight when I was in college who ended up giving me my first internship.
Wow.
So that's kind of how I got into Hollywood right after college. Other than that, I didn't have any like specific passions like in education. I didn't want to be a doctor. I just knew I always envisioned myself like walking down a hallway of a very like of the Fox lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I wanted to do.
Well, you accomplished it, and then you
Kinda.
kind of
Sideswept.
yeah, a little bit of veering, but that's the exciting part. Also, the veering has always been on your own terms. I think that that's something that people need to realize, especially if you're entrepreneurial. Got to have the grit and the resilience and the vision to take on something that might not work.
Also, you had to, I realized very quickly that not everything that you imagine is what it is. Like you kind of have a dream of a life. And I think a lot of people figure this out when you dream to be a lawyer, a doctor, all these amazing careers. You get into it and you're like, wait, this isn't what I wanted it to be.
Or it's not everything, right? That you thought it was going to be.
My sister wanted to be a vet her whole life. She had planned, and she's very, very intelligent. She went to UC San Diego. She was a biology major. Like she was crazy smart. She was one of those like honor students, AP students, always totally opposite than me. And she wanted to be a vet her whole life. And she got an internship when she was at UC San Diego as a biology major with honors, like one of those smarties. And she said that she went at 5 a.m. to this veterinary office, and she said she went into the freezer area and she had to step over a dead horse. And she said, I decided that day, my whole life I wanted to be a vet. And I said, this is not for me. And she had to veer when she was 19 years old, 20 years old. Her whole life she wanted to be a vet. And that was the moment she was like, I don't want to be a vet.
Yeah.
So things sometimes like don't go the way you want them to be. And that's what happened to me in casting and in Hollywood, actually, after so many years. We can get into that.
Well, we can go backwards. Why don't we go backwards? So, well, actually, no, we'll go
forwards.
Let's go forwards.
We can go left, right, up
left,
and down.
right, yeah, all the things.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the education piece of it. So you're in high school. You're obsessed with Hollywood. You just know that that's where you want to go. What happened? You go to Beverly Hills High School. Speaking of Hollywood, that is what 90210 was modeled after, but it was West Beverly High.
West Beverly, which they shot in Torrance. That's not
weird.
something that they ever share publicly. You always think that they shoot Beverly Hills High School. I mean, West Beverly, they shoot at Beverly Hills High School.
No.
They don't.
No. And it was a weird campus too.
I know.
It had like a weird courtyard and like a fountain or something. Yeah. Anyway, you go to Beverly Hills High. Were you going to head to a 4-year college? What was the story there?
So I was a very, very smart kid up until 8th grade. And then when I went into
became dumb.
Yeah. No, I stopped applying myself because I met boys. And this is honestly the truth. I was the smartest. There was something called Aristonians. I know it sounds so strange. I don't even
like
know
an Aristotle thing. Is that a club? What do you mean?
How do you not know? I thought you're like a smart
Aristonians.
person. When I was up until 8th grade, I went to a school in Beverly Hills, elementary and middle school called Hawthorne.
Yes.
It was there was 4 elementary school, middle schools in Beverly Hills. Now there's not.
I think Hawthorne closed.
Hawthorne closed.
Okay.
But it was like in the flats of Beverly Hills. I went to school with all of these rich kids, millionaire kids, kids of celebrities, kids of.
Were you from the slums of Beverly Hills?
I was Andrea Zuckerman.
Literally.
I was the Jewish kid that lived in
you slept on your grandmother's couch in Beverly Hills?
I was the permitted kid that lived in West Hollywood. That literally had to like lie about her address to get into Beverly Hills. And then we eventually got permitted in. But I mean, I literally
They don't do that anymore.
I'm sure they don't. But I lived in like a gorgeous neighborhood, but I still wasn't in Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
It's the funniest thing. I was Andrea Zuckerman, but I was cooler. But I was
without a doubt. Although I do have your prom picture.
Please
from
do not.
1998.
I will,
and I think we might need to put that.
I will give you a 1-star review on this podcast if you pull that prom picture out.
You know what? That's this is a bargaining chip for me, so you better watch out. Prom picture.
Please do not subscribe to this podcast. That prom picture is cruel punishment.
And by the way,
no one looks good in prom.
You were the one who found it.
Okay,
whatever.
To our group thread.
Anyway,
we were friends, and I thought we were friends. That was a horrible picture. There was horrible times. No one looks good.
No one
in high school.
Horrible.
So basically, what happened was I fell off the education train. I got very invested in my social life. My sister was doing very well in school, and she didn't need any help from my mom, from tutors. She was just very motivated, self-motivated, but I didn't have that. And I think, and I'm not trying to like blame this on my parents. My dad wasn't around, so it really was my mom. I'm not trying to blame this on my mom, but maybe it's because my mom wasn't American. She wasn't as tuned in. I don't know what the difference was, but I was not doing well in school and no one was helping me. There was no one
was
like
watching you going, this grade's looking like, how can I help you?
I don't remember anyone saying like, you need to study. You need to get better grades. You're going to not get into college if you're not doing better. You need a tutor. Like no one really watched over me.
Right.
Because I was just skating by. I was getting B's and C's. And I wasn't failing. I wasn't, I was still very likable with my teachers. So I was just skating by and I was struggling with a lot of anxiety. I was struggling with friends stuff. And so I think my mom was I was also very moody. I was like a teenager. So I think my mom was just like, get through the days with me. And she didn't want to push it. And I think maybe my mom also envisioned that I was a smart kid because of the past me. So she just assumed that I was getting it done. I don't know. I don't know where the disconnect was. I don't even ask her about it because why? But when it came time to apply to schools, my sister got into UC San Diego. My sister got into UCLA. My sister got into all the schools. When it came to time to apply to school, like I don't know what happened, but I just assumed I was going to get into the schools I wanted to get into.
It's called delusions of grandeur.
I don't know where I was in my brain, but I remember applying to all of the schools that I needed to apply to. Not the smart schools, but a few of the UC schools. Like I wanted to go to UC Santa Barbara. That was my dream school. But I was okay to go to like even, I applied to U of A. I knew like some of the party schools I wanted to go to. I wanted to go to like fun schools. But I even like San Diego State, which I knew wasn't as hard to get into. Some of those kind of like easier schools. And I'll never forget when I got all of the small envelopes at home saying, you didn't get into any school. And that moment was like, what is that feeling, that rock bottom feeling like, oh my God, I didn't get into college. I literally didn't get into college. And I don't even remember. I think either I just block it out or whatever, but I called my sister. I don't remember even telling my mom. I called my sister and I just lost it to her. Because now she was a sophomore at UC San Diego. I had gone to visit her a bunch and I really wanted to go to college now.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck am I going to, like, what now?
Yeah.
It's over. And that's when I had to come up with plan B, which is what I ended up doing, which was going the city college route. So someone must have told me, because there was no like social media to give me that update or whatever. Now I feel like you could find everything online, but someone must have given me the update.
There's still, I feel like a lot of those techniques of go to this community college in this town and transfer in to the, people do it for like UT Austin and they do it for University of Miami. And I feel like a lot of that stuff's really gate kept still.
Oh, it is?
Unless you hear it from a friend that did it or another mom or something like that. No one really talks about it, which is why like you're here, because I want you to share that with people.
It was honestly, and I say this truly, I would tell everyone that this was the best move ever, ever, ever for 2 reasons. So someone told me you should go to Santa Barbara City College. Not only do you get the most amazing city college experience because it's in Santa Barbara and it's a gorgeous campus. Have you ever been?
No, I actually have not been.
Okay, next time you go up there, it's right walking distance to State Street. So if you know that area, from your school, you see the ocean. It's actually nicer location than UC Santa Barbara because
UC Santa Barbara is not in a great area.
No, I mean, yes, you're by the ocean,
Right.
but it's up in like Goleta, Isla Vista, which is kind of like in the middle of
It's a little dumpy.
dumpy area.
Yeah.
You're in Santa Barbara area, but this is downtown Santa Barbara.
So fun.
You are walking distance from all of those restaurants, that whole beautiful location where all of the nice homes are of Santa Barbara. So not only that, but you're basically, from what I was told, and I had no problem with this, you're basically guaranteed entrance into UC Santa Barbara as long as you maintain what I was told, a C-level average. Now, I never even let it go there because I was so panicked about not getting into UC Santa Barbara. So I worked my butt off and I had all A's, maybe a couple B's. I did very, very well. But the only negative about this was, how are you going to meet friends? How are you going to live for those first 2 years and kind of ingrain yourself into the social world? Because that's what college really is.
And you're not in a dorm.
There's no dorm life, and you are not living unless you choose to. Most of the kids at UC Santa Barbara live in the UC Santa Barbara area, which is about 10, 15 minutes away from Santa Barbara City College. So that was my biggest challenge. I was lucky. I moved in. I found they have a system where you can kind of find roommates and whatever. And I found some random roommate, Hannah. You know, if you have a bad roommate, it sits with you forever.
The name becomes more of a, it has more weight.
She watched Friends all day, every day. It wasn't the best situation, but I was very lucky because I met a girl named Jill in one of my classes who happened to, her older sister went to UC Santa Barbara. So she already had the lay of the land. And she said, live in Isla Vista, find yourself a roommate in Isla Vista. So Jill was like, I live in Isla Vista and we need a roommate. Do you want to come and live in Isla Vista? So I was like, see ya, Hannah. See ya, Hannah. And luckily, I pieced out from that. I found someone to move into my apartment, and I quickly moved into Isla Vista. And it was so lucky that I met that girl, Jill, who ended up being a best friend of mine. And I found my people. I ended up having the best of both worlds. I lived in Isla Vista, which was the, party town, the college life. And actually UC Santa Barbara, if anyone out there is interested in that school, it is not a very Greek school. You don't need to live in that Greek world. It's really made for socializing, even if you're just in the city. Like, you don't need, some schools are very all about Greek life, but that school is not.
It is also the #1 party school in America. Did you know this?
Like, even over Arizona and all of them?
Sure is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Any night of the week, you can find yourself a party.
And by the way, good for them. I have this idea that a party school is some sort of bad label. I'm like, well, first of all, newsflash, they're all party schools.
Yeah, you can always party.
If you're going to a school where the kids are happy and the weather's good, that's it. So please note, that's what's happening.
Listen, it was so like a shock to the system to just be on your own without your parents and be able to party. And I think it's all about who you are inside. Are you able to be responsible? Are you able to keep it together? I definitely had nights where I partied my face off, but I was never someone that let myself kind of fly off the handle. I always was responsible. I always had jobs. I started going to UC Santa Barbara after junior year. I was there, like, I worked at Jamba Juice. I worked at a hair salon. I had I was really responsible. I was a sociology major. I did really well in school. I actually ended up taking some really advanced classes. I took it really seriously. But I also went through some really like crazy times in college. We were there for 9/11. And I was a junior during 9/11. Probably you too. I don't know.
I had just graduated from UCLA in 2001.
Oh, okay. So
I
you're
was
a
just
couple
a
years
few
older.
months out, which was a very weird time.
I'm sure.
It was very strange.
Yeah, it was really a crazy time to be in college. I'll never forget that day. Like going through some really, really tough, big times in college. I lost, my grandfather during college. Like there was some really big. Also, when I was at UC Santa Barbara, there was a huge story, like a huge, big story. It was national news where one of the kids, who was a big director's son, was like under the influence and drove through the street and
I thought I remember that.
Like, hit and murdered multiple kids walking down the street. That was a block away from my house. And we were on that street 5 minutes before walking because there was no sidewalks. So everyone just walks the streets.
Right.
And they weren't blocking off streets from cars. And so people would just drive, it was so dangerous, actually, if you think about it.
Is it blocked off now?
I'm sure some of the streets get blocked off. Like I know Del Playa, which is DP, the big, like last street by the ocean. But we were on Sabado Tarde, which was one street from that. And we lived a block away. And all of a sudden, all these kids were just mowed down by a car. So we were there for all these big life-changing. So it was very traumatic too. Like these big things happened while we were in school.
I don't know that I would ever want to do college again, although I visit colleges a lot, obviously. And there are times when I'm there and I'm like, oh, the simplicity.
Yeah.
Of just going to class, going to your job. But there's so many unknowns and it can be very scary. Like, what am I going to do with my life? Which actually is one of the things I wanted to ask you about because you said you were a sociology major.
Yeah.
And given your job, being somebody who communicates all the time, share very willingly and very openly shares your personal stories, ask people questions, interviews, all those things. Do you feel like that major helped you?
Well, when I think of like sociology major, it was totally a major because there was nothing else I really felt like I was good at. Truly.
That seems to be the thing. So people, it's like either psychology or sociology.
And I really think I should have actually gone into something like a communications major or like a broadcasting had I known that I was going to end up here, but I just didn't know that there was an option for that or it wasn't like offered.
They didn't have that at UC. They don't even have it at UCS.
I don't even know.
Communications.
Yeah, I don't even think there was an option for it. So sociology was something I just was doing really well at. And it was kind of interesting for me at the time. I was in a science girl. Like I didn't really know what else to do.
Right.
And I wasn't into philosophy or like, whatever. But it actually, I'm sure it does work in some capacity. When I was in casting, it worked. I mean, casting is the ability to read people,
right?
Literally read people and personalities and energies and have, I guess, an openness of just human behavior, I think is important in anything you do. I mean, I think you can apply sociology skills to truly any career is the truth. But I don't know truly if I go back somehow to my college education in my life. I think it's just human behavior skills that you just learn. But when I really think of what I do now, when I started casting, for example, I loved casting, by the way. I loved it. But the reason why I ended up leaving casting and ended up, jumping out, because I did that for so long. I did that for 15 years and then I became an agent. The reason why I ended up leaving is not because I didn't like actually casting. I did. I didn't like not being my own boss. I didn't like working for the corporate world of Disney, Nickelodeon, all of that. There's a lot of layers to that kind of world that I didn't feel like I was being utilized the best. I feel in my heart, I want to run my own thing.
Right.
And ultimately, I think you recognize when you work in those kinds of environments that you're not your own boss. You're not utilized as well as maybe you can be when you run your own thing. And that's, I think, ultimately why you decide to kind of pivot out of careers. The casting world of finding that perfect fit and stuff, that part I really enjoyed of that world. But when I think about why I'm here doing what I do now, it's actually not because of sociology. It's because I think about when I was 7, truly. And I always tell people this. Like, I'm curious for you, Alexis, but if you are curious about what you want to do when you're older, go back to when you're 7 or 8.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you don't have the pressure of like making money,
right,
or judgment, or, realism, or, pragmatic, or
it's a very pure time.
Yeah. When you just think about what you like to do, what's fun for you, what turns you on, what excites you, what is it that you're drawn to? And when I go back to home videos of me at 7, 8, 9 years old, I literally have home videos of me saying like, and we're back with the Donna Diamond show. And I'm not joking. I was Donna Diamond. Okay. And I had a theme song. Don't get me to sing it. I will. And okay, fine. I will. No. And
Wait, how did I not know about Donna Diamond?
And we're back with Good Morning Donna and Donna Diamond. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was my dream to be Barbara Walters. And all I wanted to do was have like a talk show. That was so exciting to me. And my mom got me a tape recorder and I would do fake podcasts. I'd walk around the neighborhood, the city.
I draped around the city by myself at 7.
I was downtown. I would walk around our little neighborhood and I would just talk to myself. I would do podcasts. I was vlogging.
So here's what's wild. I wasn't much different.
Really?
I basically spent, I would say 7 to 10, all I did was talk to myself.
Oh my God.
Like talk to myself in my room, pretending like I was on a show, pretending like I was interviewing people,
See?
pretending but so the thing was people for me. It wasn't just necessarily being a talk show host or something like that, but it was talking to people, listening to people. Interested, curious, more of an acting bend, but yes, same. I should have been a guest on the Donna Diamond show.
You would have been the perfect guest, but I was always interested. I always had questions for people. I wanted details. I was always known as the person that asked the questions because if I'm having a conversation with someone, I don't want the surface. I want to know why.
Yeah.
Why? And it annoyed people. They'd always say like, okay, just listen, just stop asking the questions. I'm like, but I need more.
I love the way you ask questions.
Yes. And I feel like
that's why you're so good at a party. That's why I keep you around.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I have one job, and that's to be a good person at a party.
You're the middle.
Yes. And I feel like that is actually, a lot of people aren't that way.
No, it's very uncomfortable for people.
Yes. Some people go to a party and they are just a guest. They just want to stand there. I can't be at a party without making sure everyone knows everyone. You're the same exact way, by the way.
I
can put you in a room of strangers and be fine.
And I want to talk to everyone. I want to know and my grandmother used to say that when I would visit her in New Jersey and we'd take the train into New York City, I would sit whoever we sat next to. She said, by the time we arrived at Penn Station, this person had told you their life story. You know how much money they made.
Yeah.
You know if they were engaged. You know if they were planning on getting divorced. She's like, you would be 8 and asking this person every question.
Yeah.
And she said, it was just wild. I couldn't get you to shut up.
It's so interesting because I'm the person that people tell their secrets to. I'm the person that people tell their innermost feelings to. Like, it's wild.
Uh-oh. Blackmail.
But
she's
it's
trying
not
to say
only
something.
But it's not just secrets. It's more just people feel, because a lot of people don't ask people questions anymore. People are so self-involved. And I'm genuinely interested in other people's stories, which is actually why you and I love reality TV. We love watching other people's lives. We like that stuff.
And is there something wrong with the fact that I prefer reality TV to scripted?
No, I think most people do.
I don't know about that. Some people, I mean, and also there's a stigma. I mean, there's this idea that basically you're brain dead if you watch reality TV, which I actually think it's the opposite. Have they literally done research? Some of the smartest people in the world watch the dumbest TV.
We're brain alive. We're not brain dead. But I wonder if that's also why you enjoy reading essays from people and learning more about who they are and stuff.
Yeah. And helping them find their story. That's part of what the admissions process is creating a through line, creating a story on paper. Oh, I don't even know what that means. But creating a story that has a through line for a kid and helping them figure out. I was on a call yesterday with a girl who lives in New York City, and she said, is being a psychology major basic? It was a really interesting question. And I said, I think I really want kids to divorce themselves from this idea of I'm basic, I'm boring, because I want to major in one of the most interesting fields that we have. What could be more fascinating than psychology?
Yeah.
And I said, look, there are different things that you can approach. Do you want to be a clinical psychologist? Do you want to be a child psychologist? Do you want to do research? I mean, there are a million
Forensic
different.
is so cool.
There are a million different things, but to want to learn how to understand the human brain and neuroscience and why we react the way we do and why we're affected by our past, our traumas, or this, I go, I'm not calling that basic. That's, you should do what you love. So as you leave Santa Barbara, tell us about the casting. You get your first casting internship. Who did you work for in casting? And will you also describe a little bit about what casting is?
Yeah. So my first job was for a woman named Joey Paul Jensen, and she's been around forever. If you know, like old school Disney, she cast Even Stevens. She cast a bunch of like that era, but we were working on That's So Raven. That was my first show ever. I was a casting assistant. The original That's So Raven with Raven Simone, obviously.
But
like
Raven,
I know that they
whoever.
brought it back. So this was like the original one. This is in 2003. And my job at the time, things are so different now, but at the time, everything was hard copy. We were getting hard copy headshots and resumes every day, and then in-person auditions. So many actors were coming in every single day. And my job was going through all the headshots and resumes, calling all the agents, setting up auditions, because everything was calling. There was no online stuff. And then when the actors would come in, I would walk them into the room and introduce them. I would actually film them on the tape. Now things are so different. So it was actually so cool back then. It felt so hands-on. It felt so real. The more time went on, it became so much less hands-on. And now post-COVID, which I don't cast anymore, but post-COVID, it's totally a different world. Everything's self-tape.
Yeah.
Everything's by the touch of a button. There is no such thing as a hard copy resume and photo, basically, unless you're going into an audition, which rarely happens now, I guess, for actors. But anyway, so that was my first job. And then I ended up leaving them and moving up the ranks and working for NBC and CW, which no longer is around, but ABC, working on a bunch of different shows. I worked on Reba. I worked on a bunch, like I worked for Kevin Williamson. I worked for all these huge producers and directors. And then I ended up coming back to Disney. And in 2007, I was the youngest casting director, like almost ever. I think I was 26 years old as a casting director with a partner. Her name is Brandy. And we cast the remake, the spinoff of Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. It was called Sweet Life on Deck. And that was a huge deal because I was only 26 years old and we had been given this opportunity to cast our own show. And it was an amazing experience. We did a bunch of different shows for Disney at the time. We ended up finding Debbie Ryan, who ended up, becoming a star for Disney. We ended up going and doing Shake It Up, which was Zendaya and now I can't remember her name. Obviously, I can't remember. Bella Thorne. But finding Zendaya and bringing her to the Disney Channel. So there was like a lot of really cool things that we did. We did a show called Ant Farm. We did a show called Haunted Hathaways for Nickelodeon. So we were back to back to back to back. But at this time, I was also getting married and having my babies. And I started to realize what was more important to me at this time. Like it was a crazy moment because I was working my butt off, long hours.
Yeah.
Zero. How can I put it? Working in casting is a thankless job. You work your butt off, literally, all day long, all day long, all day long. And then the actor gets the job, and then the producers and the network take the credit. And once the show goes and becomes a huge success, you are like a forgotten whatever. And because I always felt, and this is going to sound really probably bad, but because I always felt like I was made for a little bit more than that, I didn't want to be like forgotten little like nothing. I also, again, this is going to sound really bad, I also would look at casting directors I don't want this to sound bad, but this is the truth. I would look at casting directors, career casting directors, and I would see them in their 50s, 60s, 70s
Yep.
that have been doing this forever. And I would say, they don't seem like they are,
Not happy.
they're unhappy. They're not raking it in.
Right.
And I always wanted to be financially like really good. I wanted to be successful.
You're all in that position. You are always working for somebody else. That's the thing. Even if you have your own business. I mean, I remember I used to work for Junie Lowry Johnson. We tutor her kids for a long time.
Wow. Huge casting director.
Huge. And she was amazing and great and has an incredible career, but still, and the thing is that casting is an art form. It really, to be able to select to basically say that like Zendaya may not be Zendaya without the fact that you cast her in that show.
And selected her out of 500 12-year-olds. Yeah.
That's pretty amazing. And don't you feel like you should be getting like kickbacks for that?
No, you don't. You'll never
see any, like, it's very interesting, but you will always work for somebody else.
Yes, and we did have our own business, but we will never have money or a job unless Disney
Hires
or
you.
Nickelodeon or ABC or NBC calls us. So you can never be self-sufficient. You can never make your own money unless you get hired by them. And like the only other option is go out and teach actors on your own, which is also kind of tough because actors are struggling. And it turned into this thing where I felt a little bit like, am I taking advantage of these struggling actors by going out and teaching these like classes, workshops, etc.? It was a little bit of a tough, like, I struggled.
I forgot that you did that.
Yeah. And then what happened was I ended up getting a job as an agent. So there was an agency that offered Brandy, my partner, and I a position as the head of the adult theatrical, which is adult agency.
Right.
Department.
And you had always been working with kids, basically, right?
Always worked with kids, but we said, wow, this could be a great job because now it's full time. It is benefits, which, was great.
Yeah.
And we will never have to say, when is the next job coming? It's not freelance. It's full time. It's 10 to 6. It's a mile from my house. It sounded great. And then I started it and I said, oh my God, this is the most boring, most horrible job ever because you're selling all day as an agent. You're calling and you're pitching all day. And I hated it. So we quit that. And then I was back to square one. And that was when I had a moment where I was like, what am I going to do next? And it was kind of like a rock bottom moment of my life. I was about 37, 38 years old. And that was when I said, I need to work for myself. I need to figure it out. I need to work for myself. I need to come up with my own thing. And that was kind of the beginning of the start of starting my own business. Not the podcast yet.
Right.
But it was starting my own business.
And what was that?
First, I remember not knowing what to do. I was sitting at coffee shops every single day. So for anyone out there that is like, I'm there, I don't know what to do next, and I feel like I'm at a loss, and you're sitting at coffee shops all day reading like jobs, this is for you. I would sit at coffee shops and I would read everyday jobs. And I would be like, what should I do? I have to take a class. I have to take a course. And my sister, I had no money in my bank account. I was going through money like crazy. I was literally shopping every day because I thought I was rich.
There's nothing to do when you've got nothing to do. All you got to do is shop.
I was hanging out with Real Housewives, literally Teddy Mellencamp every day, shopping and working out with her every day, like going to Barry's boot camp every day, thinking I was rich and lunching at Nordstrom's. Like, what was I doing? I was in debt. And I was like delusional. Like, I'm just like a stay-at-home mom. Like, I can just be rich. What? I was going in debt. And then my sister was like, stop, pause. She's like, you need to stop living your life like this and figure out how to make money. And I was like, but I don't know what to do. And she's like, she actually quoted Gary Vee. I don't know if you know who Gary Vaynerchuk is.
Yeah, I do. Wait, who is?
He's like a digital marketer. He's like a very smart guy.
I know him because of you, I feel like.
Probably.
Yeah.
And she said, he always says, use your calling card. What are you really good at? Start there. You don't have to stick with it forever, but start there. So I said, I'm really good coaching kids. I don't want to work with actors though. And she's like, you don't have to do it forever. Start there. So I started my kids coaching business just to start making money. And I started my business coaching actors. Now, I did that for a year and I freaking blew up.
That's when I think I started becoming friends with you about
It was
that time.
2018, 2019. I blew up. And when I tell you I blew up, I was working 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. I was like you at the height of your tutoring.
Right.
Like college season, right? I started a podcast called The Young Actors Guide. I had clients from morning till night. I was able to charge as much as I could to calm down my load, and it never stopped. Like, it was psychotic. I ended up hiring 5 people under me. Like, it was crazy. And my money was so coming in, and I was like, but I don't want to do it, right? Like, I knew I didn't want to do it. So right around COVID, before COVID, a month before COVID, and thank God I knew this, I was like psychotic. I mean, psychic.
You are psychotic also, and psychic. You're all the psychs.
February or January of 2020, we had just moved into our new house where you know my house. And I had a revelation. I was like, I am very good at building a business now online. I know exactly how to do it. I built Young Actors Guide, this whole thing on Instagram. I want to start coaching other women to do what I just did and stop working with kids. And I announced it online, and people were devastated. It was right before pilot season, which is like the busy time.
That's when people would literally, I mean, in the old days, they would come to LA
just for
and
that.
Move here. Parents and kids, they would like do school. Not even when we used to tutor kids who came here for pilot season.
Yes, it was basically January, February through like May, June. And people would come here because it was audition crazy every single day. They would live in the Oakwood apartments in Burbank.
Yep.
And I was like, guys, I have to announce something. And I sent out an email. I was like, I'm done. I'm not doing it. And it was a very, very like rip off the Band-Aid. And Lance, every single time I would do this, Lance is like, don't do it. And I was like, trust me. Every single time I have
Lance
a big
is
moment.
her husband, by the
Lance,
way.
yeah. He's always like, what are you doing? Why are you ruining a good thing? I was like, trust me. And he did it before I left the agency. I was like, trust me. Before I started this, trust me. And so right before COVID, I said, I'm going to quit doing this. And of course, COVID comes, pilot season's canceled. I wouldn't have had a job. I wouldn't have had a client. I would have had nothing. Like no one would have auditioned. And meanwhile, my business takes off because all these women decide, well, now I'm stuck at home and I want to make a business out of my cooking in the kitchen.
Or my like stationery business or my graphic design or
sewing or whatever. So one thing leads to another, and then I start coaching women, and that's kind of when I met you.
Yeah.
Like that's when that whole business group comes up.
Right. So Donna had a group called The Founder is Female. And I had never done anything like an incubator or any sort of, I'm always like flying by the seat of my pants, like starting a business, doing that. And I never actually settled to analyze what I was doing with my life. So I had started a tutoring company when I was 21, basically, and I had been working nonstop for the better part of a decade, plus, I don't know, it was like probably 15 years at that point. Built a business, but I was also doing the college admission stuff along with the academic tutoring. So I was the person who'd come to your house and tutor your kid in geometry. At the same time, I was also helping kids get into college. Those two things, and what was really brilliant about what Donna was doing with Valerie Sedone, and if you don't know Valerie Sedone, you're going to, because she's got to be on here at some point. Who's a therapist. They basically said to me, "You're done tutoring. You're not doing that anymore. You have build out that staff, those people, train them. College admissions is where you are. That is the new move for you." And I remember I even called you guys a couple times and did like private coaching, like, this celebrities come to me, they want to do this thing. It was like, I remember like Kim Kardashian wanted to do a pod with us during COVID. And Val said, no, say no. These people will, you know that they're going to basically like take over your life, take over your business. You don't need that. You have people that work for you. If they want somebody like that, that's totally fine. You need to build this other part of your business out. And that's what that you guys helped me rip that Band-Aid off. That was something I invested in my blood, sweat, and tears. And when you start your own business, you know this, like it's very scary to pivot away from the original thing, that original anchor of where the money came from.
Absolutely.
And you think, oh, there's no way. If it's not me, I'm never going to make money.
Yep.
So that watching you go, so that you were doing the business, you were doing the business coaching, and then what happened?
So I'm doing the business coaching. It's going well. Everything's fine. And then I start to kind of add on this whole side of video coaching and podcast coaching because I add the podcast and I realize everything's on video. And I use my former casting director experience to call Show Up on Video is my whole course. And so now it's 2022 and I'm doing this video course. It's called Show Up on Video and people are signing up and everything's fine. But there's a part of me that is just, I get bored. And I think I have a little ADHD.
No.
I think you're diagnosing me.
I've got some meds in my cabinet for many other members of my family, and I should probably be taking them as well.
I think I need to go to a doctor. And so it's like December 2022, and I'm having a conversation with my brother-in-law in Mammoth, and I'm like, I'm just feeling bored. Like I need to add something a little bit more of a passion project for me. Like it's working, I'm doing my business, but I'm feeling like lacking passion. I just need something for myself. And it's January now of 2023, and I'm going on a walk and I'm listening to a podcast. I think it was like a Mel Robbins podcast, and she's talking about just doing something for yourself for fun. And I'm just walking and I'm listening, and I'm like, I love the Toast. And the Toast podcast is a podcast that's a daily pop culture podcast. It's two girls. They are two sisters, these two Jewish sisters, but they're young. They call themselves the Millennial Podcast. Good morning, millennials, they always say. But they're like young millennials, right? I think they're like early 30s. And I'm 44. So a lot of their conversations surround like people I don't really care about, you know, like Taylor Swift, like, but young, like people I don't even know who they are.
Right.
But I love them. And I thought it would be really fun if I did a daily podcast where I just talk about pop culture. But no one would listen to that. That's so weird. Like I was thinking, that's so embarrassing. And then I said to myself, I have never once told anyone not to do what they should do, like for fun, because it's embarrassing. So it was January 6th, horrible day. Okay. But it wasn't the insurrection day. It was 2 years later after the insurrection.
Oh my God.
I know. But it was January 6th. I have to say it was the real day. Yeah. January 6th, 2023. I'm on a walk with my dogs. It's a rainy day. I come home. I already know how to do a podcast. I have all the setup at home, you know, because I've already done a podcast, a video podcast. Right. No makeup, jacket on, like whatever. And I just turn on my camera and I just I don't go live or anything. I just create a video podcast and I go like, I'm just going to do a daily podcast. It's called Daily Dose of Donna.
Where did you come up with that? It's the best.
Literally no idea on my walk.
Donna Diamond.
Amazing, right?
The alliteration makes me happy.
It came to me.
Yeah.
And then that weekend I created, like, it's pretty easy to create a podcast. I have been teaching it to all these people. So I just created a little cover art on Canva. Like, it's so easy to just do. And I just put it out there. And my first episode I told people on Instagram stories, I'm like, this is kind of embarrassing, but I'm doing this. My first episode had 18 downloads or whatever. And then I just kept doing it. And Monday through Friday, ever since then. And now I think I'm on like my 750th episode now because we're on.
Wow.
Because now, I mean, whatever, we're at the end of 2025. I go Monday through Friday, unless I'm traveling or like there's an extravagant situation. I have, 52,500 YouTube subscribers. I have.
That's amazing.
I have hundreds of thousands of impressions. Like, per month on YouTube, I have like 450,000 impressions, views.
That's wild.
A month, and I have millions and millions of listens. I mean, it's freaking wild. And I have sponsors and I have guests, and it's totally become the business. I stopped coaching. I stopped teaching. I stopped everything else. Daily Dose of Donna is my business now.
I love it.
Just like an idea on a walk.
Proud of you.
It's crazy.
So proud of you.
Thank you.
But that's, listening to your soul. And this is something that I really try to urge parents to look for in their kids and for kids to look for in themselves. What do you love? Just because you love to draw, okay? And they go, well, I'm not going to be an artist. Okay, well, and we know those kids, by the way, the kids who are destined to be artists, they just are. Okay, but what is it about drawing? What is it about your brain that gets ignited when you do that? Or you have a knack for talking to people? What is it about that? Like, it's almost like we need anagram tests for like 7th and 8th graders and 9th graders and 10th graders, because they think that what they do isn't an indicator of something that could possibly be. And then the thing that actually is doesn't change, right? Like I'm an accountant or I'm an investment banker or I'm in the sciences like your sister, you know, I'm going to be a vet. Oh wait, I'm not going to be a vet. This fear of change, of movement, like we have to be there. We have to be willing to be resilient, have grit, be uncomfortable. I'm sorry, but AI is here. And a lot of the things, and I'm talking to parents about this all the time, computer science, bye, not happening anymore. Like things that we thought were hot careers and for smart people, it's not a thing anymore. Like it's going to go away. So we have to be willing to, just like you were, you had that gut instinct of like, I think I'm out of this. And then boom, pilot season. And I completely transformed my business during COVID. Everything changed. We started doing pods. We started doing everything online. If I hadn't transitioned my entire business to Zoom, College Expert would not exist.
Yeah.
All of these things. So being willing to change and also realizing whatever it is that you major in, what you're good, go with what you're good at. You were good at sociology. You did well in those classes. You're like, this is my major. I was an art history major. I am not a museum curator, but I like to disseminate information. I like art. I like reading about art. I liked history. All pulling those things and braiding them together was the way my brain works.
It's not about what you're learning. It's about the skills you're learning
To
while
learn
you're
that
learning
information.
it. Mhm.
Exactly. Pulling those things together was like me pulling my favorite people together in this room to have like, there's nothing I love more than connecting people.
I know your favorite thing in the world is having a party.
I have a problem.
I get it. I feel bad for your husband.
Thank God he lets me just do
No.
the things. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we're gonna move into the last part of the admit it segment, which is when I ask you to admit it. Okay. So Donna,
Yes.
admit it.
Okay.
Would you let your kids go to UC Santa Barbara
Yes.
and party their faces off?
Yes, and I would, and I would also love to go up there and like visit.
So fun.
I would. I mean, what's cool about it is it's so close to home, which was also really nice. Like it was so nice that I could just like take a break and come home for a weekend easily. I loved how it was so close to home.
Yeah, it's pretty much one of the most gorgeous places on earth. So
I know.
lucky you.
Yeah.
And ask you one more. Admit it. Is Daily Dose of Donna the apex? Is that where we're staying? Or do you imagine that there are more pivots ahead for you?
I would be insane to think this is where we're staying. Not that I see it going away, but I feel like there's got to be a growth version of it because I don't understand how to like stay somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So like whether there's an addition to it, going to another platform,
Building it out as a
building
brand.
it out.
Yeah.
What I really want to do is I think what would be cool is building other shows under me.
Yes.
Like bringing other people under me and having a little bit of an umbrella brand. You know what I mean? Bringing other
it's a
people.
very interesting idea for those of you that are listening. I think this concludes this episode of Admit It with Alexis White. Donna, you're the best.
Thank you
I
so
love
much
you.
for being here.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks for coming on my show.
No, thank you so much for being here. And this is now your show. I mean, our show. This is our show now.
Bye, Alexis.
That's a wrap. Thanks for tuning in to Admit It with Alexis White. If you're working on your college applications and want guidance every step of the way, visit alexiscollegeexpert.com to find resources and support tailored for you. For even more tips, stories, and college insights, make sure to follow me on TikTok and Instagram @collegeexpert. Until next time, good luck. And remember, you don't have to do this alone.